Appreciate your attendance, and we'd like to start things off by remarks from the mayor. Mayor Martin.
Thank you very much. I do have some remarks, and I'm going to kind of loosely read from these remarks, but not really. Thank you, though, for preparing a good outline. When I first took office, one of the things is that you may not know is that we have a travel policy in the city. And that travel policy means that the mayor has to sign off on all employee travel. You don't remember this part of the remarks, Tom? So, and when I see these travel requests, I actually believe that, education is necessary. If you inspect buildings and there's been some changes in electrical standards, you should probably go to an educational seminar to learn about those standards. And the police have training all the time, so training is important within the city. But on the other hand, sometimes you find conferences that are located in Las Vegas. And the question is that really a conference or is that a party? So Amy Lavolsi had some form that came up to me, and I don't remember what the training or conference was exactly, but I was brand new in this, and so I was practicing with the pens, my grip, and the sword. And I had Amy come up because I knew Amy was a terrific attorney in our law office, and I wanted to talk about what the heck was she going to go to. And basically, it was a program, I can't remember the specifics, but it's a program about learning a city's responsibility under the ADA Act of 25%. And that really scared me. It really scared me. And the reason why was because I knew that Amy should go, that we needed to start doing something, but that the city was completely unprepared. I have no idea what I'm getting into, except that I know that I don't have enough money to do the things that really must be done for a good city. And Amy's going to go to Congress and come back and says that she wants $1 bazillion. It was about that same time that Frank and Lauren Mercedes came to me. And I don't remember the exact nature of the conversation, but there was this similar, we need to do something in the city for those with various handicaps or disabilities. And it scared me just the same. And particularly when a guy that knows a lot about construction starts telling you that you got to do some work in your city, it is very frightening. It's frightening from the amount of money that we probably need to spend, and how much do we know about this topic? Other than occasionally we've constructed a building in ADA compliance. I know, because I've been in government a long time, we don't know what the heck we're doing. We're not prepared. We don't know. And Marty Levine said to me, you really should probably forge some progress forward on this. And once again, he was scaring me because I don't have the money, and I'm not going to get the money, but the problem was Frank, Roy, Marty, and Amy were all like, we have to do this. We just have to do this. I don't know what we're getting into, but I think we're going in the right direction. When I say a few things, we get a little philosophical, but one of them is that everybody has certain types of disabilities. Everybody does. Some of them are more obvious than others, and some need special accommodations. And if we can do that, we need to figure out how to do it. And I make the observation, who do you think is the smartest person in the world right now? Anybody hazard a guess? It's not a question that you come up every day. But they made a movie about it. And Stephen Hawking. What Stephen Hawking has added to this world is beyond measure. And yet, he sits in a wheelchair, unable to speak, and unable to speak for years. In fact, I don't think he can even use his hands anymore. I think he's speaking through how he uses his eyes. And yet, he is pushing forward the frontiers of science. The reality is, it doesn't matter whether the smartest man in the world or not. It's just a simple human compassion. we need to do what's right for all of our people. So, we formed this committee. We're going to take some steps forward. We're putting a small budget allocation to start to figure out what we're going to do. And I tell you, as I walk the streets of Stamford, I'm walking today from the government center over here, and we're looking at the problems with how outdoor cafes eat up the sidewalk. Now there's not enough room for a person in a wheelchair or a person with a baby stroller to get by between a tree that's planted and some signs that are put out there and the edge of the sidewalk cafe. And we want sidewalk cafes. They are wonderful addition to Stamford. But I also want people in wheelchairs, and people who are walking with white canes, and people that have service dogs, and mothers with little children in strollers also to get down the street safely and expeditiously, because we need to make this city more friendly. So now let's see what the hell my remarks say. That's what I feel, and I'll just end with this. Formed this committee to give those most affected a stronger voice in the City Hall and an ability to work with city officials to improve access for all. The members of this committee are some of the hardest working volunteers we have, and I would like to thank them each for leaving their time, experiences, and expertise to improving access. Please be aware that we're scared we will get. I don't have all the money I need to do what we need to do. I'm delighted they've already begun to start their work, and they've made progress over the past several months, and they seem to be a functioning committee. Yes, they, like all task forces and all committees, they'll have their moments of disagreement, but it strikes me from a distance and from what little interaction I've had with them directly is that they get it, and they're working on it, and they understand we need to move forward. And those goals range from setting the goal of taking an inventory of city facilities and programs to identify areas of improvement, improving our citizen service requests that relate to access issues, working with the police on stronger enforcement of relevant ordinances and laws, and strengthening education around ADA, which I guess is now its 25th year anniversary, and access issues among business owners in the greater community. It's scary, but I think this is the beginning of something great. It's going to be slow, but the journey doesn't begin without taking those initial steps. It's a sign of the momentum that I hope to grow over a period of time. And I basically am looking forward, as frightened as I may be, I look forward to what's ahead because it's the right thing to do. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Frank Mercede, Chairman of the Access Program.
Thank you, Mayor. Unlike the mayor, I'm not going to go loosely with my notes. I'm going to read from them. And I have to make it fast because I have Andrew back here asking if he could go next. Be patient, Andrew. For those who don't know me, my name is Frank Mercede. I've lived here all of my life. I'm passionate about improving access for people with disabilities, and I'm thrilled to be here as chairman of the A4A committee. This committee started 4 years ago as a germ of an idea when I met with Chris Burbank, Andrew's mother, whom I knew from the days of our building Twin Meadows Playground at Still Middle School. Like me, Chris is also the parent of a child who uses a wheelchair, and she was concerned at the time about not being able to access a coffee shop here in Stamford with her son Andrew and their other siblings. She was denied entry because the establishment did not have a ramp required to accommodate wheelchairs, so her 3 kids had to wait outside in the rain while she ran to buy them hot cocoa. She wanted to know how this could happen, and she approached me about working to improve this in other situations throughout the city that were causing problems for people with a variety of disabilities. Fast forward, here we are today to celebrate the mayor's formation of Stamford's A4A committee. We are a group of concerned citizens who represent various disabilities, community organizations, and governmental bodies. We are all appointed by Mayor Martin, who is making this a priority for his administration, and we're working collaboratively, it's not easy, to improve access for all. I couldn't be more happy and proud that we have finally gotten to this point, and as the mayor said, because this year marks the 25th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Specifically, A4A's mission is this. Number one, to provide guidance and evaluate efforts to improve access for all to city facilities and programs. Two, to develop procedures to identify and resolve access deficiencies. Three, to advise the mayor and the city boards and commissions regarding compliance-related issues. Four, to connect the city and community to achieve greater awareness of the ADA. And number five, to increase awareness and facilitate communication between the city, local business, and members of the community. In the past several months, we've updated the city website so people with disabilities can more easily access and report information. We'll soon be initiating a local assessment of all city-owned programs, properties, and services to identify improvement areas as they relate to ADA compliance. Most importantly, we're now working with community groups such as DSSD, and recently John Rotolo just officially became a member, thank you John, of the A4A committee, along with Mitch Katcher, who is representing Foundation Fighting Blindness, so that we can identify ways that we can make city systems, streets, and services more welcoming and helpful for people of all abilities. What's not working, we're attempting to fix, and what is working, we're highlighting it so others can follow and learn from. Ultimately, we want to recognize places such as the Palace Theater and other community partners who are doing it right by providing best-in-class access for all. That's what matters for the future of the city and young people like our next speaker, Andrew Burbank. Andrew was the young man that I mentioned earlier. As a little boy, waited outside in the rain for his hot cocoa. I've known him since he was in kindergarten, and he's now about to graduate high school. Not surprisingly, Andrew wants to drive his power chair around Stamford without worrying about these kinds of things, as he should be able to do. I think you'll be interested in what he has to say. And now I'd like to introduce Andrew Burbank.
Thank you, Mr. Mercede, Mayor Martin, and especially my mom. I grew up in Stamford and especially loved going to elementary and middle school here. Stamford is great in many ways, but it has also been hard, and sometimes I get really frustrated because there are problems for me and my wheelchair, and it makes having cerebral palsy really difficult. I know it's hard for other people with disabilities too, but this can change someday if we all work together. Then maybe I can live in an apartment building and be able to drive my wheelchair to my job without worrying about steps and curbs that shouldn't be there. I will be able to go into restaurants and other places more easily and know that they are going to follow the laws for people with disabilities. The same is true for sidewalks, parking lots, and accessible parking spaces. That would be really great, since I've had a lot of problems with those. Even our schools and other government buildings can be better for people with disabilities. I'm glad the Access for All Committee is working to solve some of these challenges so people of all abilities can enjoy living and working together in Stamford. And I hope that someday Stamford will be one of the most accessible cities around, and we will all be very proud of what we've done together to make that happen. Now, here is one of the Access for All committee members, Mr. Phil Magalnick, with some closing comments on this topic.
Good morning.
Andrew, you are my hero. This is quite emotional. Excuse me, and I'm going to keep my sunglasses on. When I walked in this building this morning, the first thing I actually thought about was that one of my performance idols, Harry Connick Jr., will be on the stage over there in a couple of weeks. And now, Andrew, you know what? Sharing the stage with you is the most incredible feeling I've ever had. Thank you. Mayor Martin, Frank, my fellow committee members, I'm so humbled to be speaking on behalf of us today. Mayor Martin, this is a legacy you've created here. We're walking the walk, not just doing this walk. Things are getting done. I've seen it, no pun intended, over the last 6 months, and I'm so impressed. Frank mentioned briefly that this is a collaborative effort with us, government, community organizations, and other groups, and that's an understatement. The city leaders, department heads, anywhere from Chief of Police, Assistant Chief of Police Matheny, to Public Works, and Mayor Jarrah, Paul Zeiss, I could name all the names. I probably will when I'm done. But it's incredible, the commitment I have seen and witnessed, dedication to helping people and getting things done and doing the right thing. It overwhelmed me. Last month, I was able to give a brief testimony in support of the mayor's budget and try to get some funds for our group at Westall High School. And after that meeting, I was approached by Lynn Colatrell of the DSSD, who asked me to come and speak to her group. And Frank is my wingman. On the 6th of this month, I walked from my house or apartment on Morgan Street by myself for the first time all the way to Landmark Square. The most terrifying thing I've ever done. With the sidewalks and the signs and so forth. But it was a great accomplishment. And in that conference room with Lynn, with Sandy Goldstein, with John Colatrell and Emily, I was again overwhelmed with the amount of support and the care they showed, the appreciation for the situation that people like myself, Andrew, and Michael McDonald, we face every day. It's a struggle every day, and sometimes every moment. And they were just on board. Whatever they could do to help me and the commission, committee, they're there for us. And most of them are here today, and we're very grateful to that. And an example of us working together will be after this meeting, conference, we're going to be taking a stroll down Bedford Street just to see how difficult it is, or it could be for someone like myself or Michael or Andrew, to maneuver through the sidewalks, restaurants, businesses, and it may be an eye-opening experience for everyone to see. Another thing I spoke about at the testifying at the hearing was that my background. I'm born and raised in Stamford as well. I attended both public and private schools and college in Stamford. For 26 years, I served in my city. I was a volunteer EMT, firefighter. I also served as president of the Volunteer Fire Department. I'm the board of directors for the Stamford EMS Foundation, and we started with paramedics back in 1987. I'm the Southwest Connecticut EMS Council and a former board member of the Regional Foundation Fighting Blindness. So I've done my share of work. And I'm also proud of the 20 years at the Stamford Police Department as a public safety dispatcher. So not only did I respond to calls in my younger years, but then I answered calls for help. And 6 years ago, my retinal disease finally caught up with me. And I became legally blind, and now I'm the one who had to ask for help. That was the toughest thing to do, and when I came across Amy Lavolsi in this committee back this summer with a pump and a good friend, Alan Gunsworth from Greenwich, who was also legally blind, and on their civil committee and the State VR Commission, he prompted me to get involved and do something because it was a very difficult time in my life. And I must confess, Mayor Martin, Frank, and all my fellow members really have changed my life for the better. And I appreciate everything you're doing. And it really is making a difference in my life and a lot of people's lives. There are 144 legally blind people in Stamford under state services for blind that we know about. It's probably tenfold people who are older, macular degeneration, and other disabilities regarding the eyes. There are 52,000 visually impaired people in the state of Connecticut alone. So we are a large population. We're mostly unseen. It's kind of ironic because we can't see either. And I think this is the first step for all of us to do something about it. And I've taken up a lot of time, and I wish I could shake everyone's hand and just look them in the eye and just say thank you. Thank you very much.
And that concludes our program. Thank you again for coming.